Welcome, John. This is a special news report. I just want to say that what looks to be like a giant storm happening right behind me is actually caused from a giant monster battle going on a little ways down the road. I can see a tail from over here, but not too much of a battle, thankfully. However, whoa. What was that? You know what? I'm getting the hell up out of here. Bye. Welcome, I'm the Kaiju no Kami, and tonight's review is the 2014 version of Godzilla. Toho had put Godzilla to rest after the box office failure that was Godzilla Final Wars. In the years following, Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures had acquired the license to bring Godzilla back to the big screen. Unfortunately, it left fans unsure what to think thanks to the previous attempt made on the franchise back in 1998. Gareth Edwards, who had just recently done a movie called Monsters, was chosen to direct this. This helped garner attention to the movie by longtime Godzilla fans, especially since it was reported that Toho was going to be heavily involved with its production. And thus the legend of Godzilla was reborn. Again. For the 8th time. Our movie begins in 1999, where we are introduced to Dr. Ishiro Shirazawa, played by Ken Watanabe, and his assistant are brought to a cavern in the Philippines where a giant skeleton has been discovered. There, they find two egg-like structures, but one of them is empty. We are then taken to Japan, where Joe Brody— oh my god, it's Walter White!
Say my name. Heisenberg. You're goddamn right.
He did survive his cancer. Yes, Joe Brody is played by the great Bryan Cranston. Anyway, he and his wife Sandra work at a nuclear power plant where seismic activity has been detected. While there, we get to meet some familiar faces. Can you spot them?
This is now.
Wait, hold on. Seismic activity? Seismic like an earthquake? You talking about earthquakes?
You take us offline.
Now, Joe, we gotta do it.
No? The guy in the middle there is Gary Chalk, known by most Transformer fans as the voice of Optimus Primo in Beast Wars.
Seismic like an earthquake?
Well, that's just prime.
Also, the older Asian guy on the left is Hiro Kanagawa, who is Police Lieutenant Suzuki in iZombie. They go to search for any reactor leaks only to have a meltdown occur, and Sandra is killed in the process. 15 years pass and Aaron Taylor Johnson takes over the role of Ford Brody, who is now grown up and is a soldier. You may know him as Quicksilver. No, not that Quicksilver. That's Evan Peters. This Quicksilver. Yeah. He's also Kick-Ass. No. That is Ass Kick, who is also Evan Peters. This is Kick-Ass. Although, come to think about it, they both play best friends in the same movie and are playing the same character in two different Marvel movies. That's kind of weird. We get to meet Ford's son Sam and his wife Elle, played by— oh my god! That's Elizabeth Olsen! The same actress who played Scarlet Witch in Avengers 2, Quicksilver's sister. Ugh. Japan. Okay, granted, this movie isn't made by the Japanese, but it is in some relation a Japanese film, so Japan. Ford has just returned from a 14-month deployment when he gets a call telling him his dad has been arrested in Japan. As such, he flies out to Japan and hands over his get-out-of-jail-free card. Joe talks him into sneaking back into their old home with him, where we get to see a nice Easter egg. Foreshadowing, perhaps? They are caught and taken to Dr. Shirazawa's lab, located where the plant used to be. Joe laments his frustration to the situation, and a cocoon monster awakes, revealing itself to be a giant bug. It destroys everything in the process of escaping. Joe is left fatally injured.
Hey, stay with me. Dad? Dad?
It's getting weaker. I can barely feel it.
Serizawa lays down all the exposition the audience has been clamoring for over the last 45 minutes to Ford.
In 1954, the first time a nuclear submarine ever reached the lower depths, it awakened something.
All those nuclear bomb tests in the 50s. Not tests.
They were trying to kill it.
These creatures adapted to live deeper in the oceans, further underground, absorbing radiation from the planet's core.
We call him Godzilla.
Parasitic spores. One dormant, but the other hatched. The hatchling burrowed straight for the nearest source of radiation, your father's power plant in Janjira.
It turns out that these creatures are called massive unidentified terrestrial organisms, or MUTO for short, and they are after nuclear power to take over the world.
Of course!
Ford helps Serizawa with what he remembered about the MUTO using echolocation to contact another creature before he is dropped off to Honolulu to catch a flight home.
Echolocation.
If the Muto was talking that day, your father must have discovered something talking back.
As luck would have it, the flying MUTO attacks Honolulu before Ford could make it to the airport. Godzilla rises out of the ocean. Actually, he's more like a tsunami. But whatever, I can't wait to see this great fight! What?
Sam, please turn that TV off.
What the hell was that? We're over an hour into the movie and Godzilla is just showing up now. Where's the big battle? I want to see the battle. You just cut it like that? You know what? I'm gonna go watch a better Godzilla movie instead. Yes. The battle's over already. Ah, yeah, here we go, the big battle. Why is he flying away? The battle just got started. But this movie's stupid. There was like maybe 5 minutes of monster action. Moving on, Ford hitches a ride with the military to head back to California where the monsters are said to be heading. A second MUTO, thought to be dormant, attacks Las Vegas, leaving its destruction as if it were caused by a tornado.
Not another giant bug.
A plan is formed to take out the MUTOs using nukes. Ford begs for his services to join the soldiers taking a train of nuclear missiles to San Francisco. They are attacked on their way there as the female MUTO takes off with one of the missiles. San Francisco is in the process of being evacuated. Godzilla arrives in the bay, heading towards the city as he strolls past the Golden Gate Bridge. The Flying Muto attacks the ship with a nuclear missile and takes it to the female, who plans to breed. Due to the missile now being in the center of the city, a plan is formed to halo drop a bunch of soldiers into downtown in order to find and disarm the bomb, as it was activated just before the Muto took off with it. This plan calls for Ford's expertise, since he just happens to be the only soldier in the entire military that was trained to manually disarm an analog bomb. Yeah, that probably wasn't a good idea to have only one soldier trained on how to disarm an analog bomb. Pretty stupid, actually. And very convenient for the plot. Godzilla and the Flying Muto finally confront each other and... Oh, come on! Not again!
Give the people what they want. Some good old-fashioned apocalyptic porn. They love blood. They love action. Not this talky, depressing, philosophical bullshit.
Ford and a group of other soldiers halo jump into the city. Joking aside, this is a really great scene. It has a lot of tension and suspense to it, the music fits very well with it, and I love the first person shots. It really gives the audience a sense of scale with the beats. Very well done indeed. Ford's roughnecks storm Chinatown, which is now a nest, and find the nuclear missile inside.
Come on, you hate! You want to live forever?
They attempt to disarm it while the monsters are brawling. Sadly, the casing is damaged, making them unable to do so. The soldiers carry it out as Ford blows the nest up. The female Muto leaves the battle to lament the loss of her offspring, just as Godzilla does what is hands down the greatest monster moment in the movie. Blue atomic breath, everybody! That is the one major attribute that was missing from Godzilla in the 1998 movie. Thank you, Warner Brothers. Thank you, Gareth Edwards. You are the man! Godzilla kills the Flying Muto while Ford reaches the ship the soldiers place the nuke on. He tries to drive the boat away, but it is stopped by the female Muto. Godzilla steps in once more and does the unthinkable.
Fatality!
Now that's what I'm talking about. Godzilla collapses afterwards while Ford is rescued just in the nick of time before the bomb goes off. Morning rises and Ford is reunited with his family. Incest away body spray. Godzilla wakes up, is praised a hero, stumbles back towards the ocean as he lets out one more roar to end the movie. So that was Legendary's take on Godzilla. The plot is a very basic run-of-the-mill story. Giant monsters threaten mankind, They have to fight to survive, fail, while the good guy monster has to save the day. However, it is the execution that truly matters here, and this is exactly what Godzilla fans have been waiting for. An American-made Godzilla movie that feels like a Godzilla movie. In fact, it feels like it has taken elements from all the previous installments of the Godzilla franchise. Godzilla is not necessarily a bad guy, which is similar to the Showa era. He doesn't even intentionally destroy anything, something the series has not done since Terror of Mechagodzilla. Yet, he retains the ferocity he was shown to have in both the Heisei and Millennium eras of the series. It is an interesting take to see on Godzilla, and one that Toho was gladly proud of. Gareth Edwards showed that he is indeed a fan of the franchise. Unfortunately, with all of its greatness does come some elements of mediocrity. The lack of monster screen time is disheartening, especially for those who crave nothing but action. Yet, it is one of the best things about this movie. The movie goes more towards atmosphere, suspense, tension, and a build-up to the grand finale over being nothing but a brainless action movie with Bayplosions. However, I wouldn't mind seeing more screen time for Godzilla in the next one. Another negative are the human characters. They are just not all that interesting. They are better than a lot of the characters found in the Heisei era, yet they still do not have anything to make them truly stand out. Ford is as bland as they can get. He wants to return to his family and save them. That is about it. He doesn't have any defining character moments that make him wow the audience. Elle is the same way. She doesn't really do much except be the worrying wife, which makes her a useless character. Thankfully, their acting is quite good, although Aaron Taylor Johnson needs to learn how to emote because he looks so deadpan most of the time. Dr. Serizawa is a decent character, and yes, he is named after the Serizawa from the original. I like that he's very knowledgeable in what was happening, and Watanabe was fantastic in his performance. The problem comes down to that Serizawa is merely there to be the master of exposition. He doesn't do anything but tell the audience what we do not know for the sake of it. Sometimes it just feels forced, and some of his scenes could have been cut from the film since there is really no need for this movie to be 2 hours long. It could have sufficed at 100 minutes. It is a shame too because he is my second favorite character of the movie. My favorite has to go to Joe. Cranston was just pure A gold in every scene that featured him. His lament about his wife's death and his desire to reveal the truth to everyone was far more compelling than that story about a man trying to get back to his family. Killing him off was the stupidest thing the movie could have done. Even if they didn't have room for him here, they should have left him alive so that he could have returned in the sequel. The effects are absolutely breathtaking. It is a combination of both CGI and actual sets, which was really nice compared to the norm these days. A lot of the places the actors were standing in were real. The monsters themselves are just as jaw-dropping as they look like they are actually there and not CGI'd in later. This is one of those rare times when CGI was used effectively. Godzilla's design is also stunning. Yes, he is kind of fat again. Unlike the Heisei series though, the mass on this version fits as it isn't just tied down into his thighs. He looks like a giant monster god. The feet could be better as they appear more befitting to an elephant than a giant lizard, however. His face holds this very divine demeanor. The eyes complement the skin tone nicely too, and the spines rock. They aren't a bone gray as they tend to be in most incarnations of Godzilla. Nonetheless, they are efficient and look gorgeous when lit up in blue. The Mutos, on the other hand, are just a mixed bag. They're just not all that interesting of monsters to begin with, and their designs are quite generic. They look like they were taken off a Starship Troopers set more than a Godzilla one. Now, that is not to say Godzilla can't have generic bugs as enemies, as he has had them in the past. Nonetheless, they are some of the least interesting foes in Godzilla's rogues gallery. Granted, Edwards probably didn't want an enemy that was going to overshadow Godzilla in his first outing, but they just don't feel like this big threat they are made out to be. Alexander Desplat's score is nothing to write home about either. The music does fit the movie quite well. Compared to the scores of the past though, and what we have come to expect out of a Godzilla score, this one just feels, well, basic. There isn't anything truly memorable. It just exists because it needs to. Desplat didn't do anything wrong, he just didn't go above and beyond the call of duty as he could have. In the end, Godzilla is another wonderful entry into the Godzilla franchise. It also just goes to show that an American can adapt a Japanese movie as long as the people behind its production actually care about its original source material. Yes, it does make some missteps, especially in the lack of monster action, but it makes up for it in other areas. This is a Godzilla movie that no fan should miss and may even acquire new fans of the franchise. Well, I am the Kaiju no Kami, and it is time I once again sign off. Until next time, bye.